Welcome back to God is in control. So, as I always say in the beginning of these videos, if you do not believe in God, you do not believe in Christ, you have no uh, Christian kind of affiliation, you can go ahead and scroll on through, go to the next video, and keep it moving. This video may contain some harsh language, really not swearing, but harsh as far as being to the point and direct, which may offend some because this society, everybody wants everything to be nicey nice, nice. Sugarcoat. Don't hurt people's feelings. It's like when I grew up, people said whatever, you learned to deal with it. Either you said something back to them, or you said something under your breath, or you caught them the next time you saw them and you finished that conversation. It was no nicey nice. It was no people have to watch what they say because everybody's walking on eggshells. You said what you said and you meant what you said. So we need to get back to that because people are sugarcoating and you're letting people get away with saying too much and doing too much, right? With no repercussions to them. Okay, so let's see. We'll start. Um, what's been going on like the last week, maybe the last week and a half. Still going to talk a little bit about nursing homes. They're not the worst place to leave your family members, a nursing home or rehab facility. Sometimes, for reasons out of your control, you have to do it. Some families will never, ever, ever have to put anybody in one just because they don't need 24-hour care. Okay? It depends on what's wrong with the loved one if you're going to have to do that or not. That's a decision that will have to be made with you and your team, which is your support group, which is your family. Don't let people from the outside guilt you into making decisions that you don't want to make. You know what's best for you and you know what's best for your family. Not all rehab facilities are bad. I'm going to say it's probably 50-50 because you hear stories no matter where you go, no matter how much you're paying, no matter what neighborhood it's in, they all may have a horror story, one or two. But you have to kind of do your research and see what fits your needs, not really your budget, because once you go on the Medicaid, it is what it is. But you just have to find something that fits your needs and fitting your needs be something that's close so that all family members that are in the support team can be able to visit the person regularly. I don't mean like once a week. I mean a couple of you stopping in throughout the week because that's how you're going to learn the personality of that facility. You're going to learn the staff in that facility. You're going to know who's does better this than better that. And you pass it on to the other family as people come in. You take notes and you let them know what's going on. Be in contact with your facility's social worker or patient advocate. All facilities have either one or they have both. Just depends on how big your facility is, if they may have both. The social worker, in some cases, can do everything. They can get all the notes from the doctors, the nurses, all the things that's going on with the patient. They could tell you how many days the patient have left, and they can connect you with other areas of the facility that are there to talk about the finances and different things like that. So find out who your point of contact is within that organization as soon as your loved one gets there. Get their telephone number and their email address because in my experience I find that people nowadays like to email because you have like a written trail of information. So I like emails because I can always flip and go back. When you're hearing something from meeting with a person or over the phone, unless you take good notes, which I do take good notes, but I'm just saying, unless you take good notes, some of your information may get a little muffled, right? Some things you may not remember as well if you don't write them down right when they're said, and if you don't ask questions. If you don't understand why the person is talking, you put your hands, you stop them right then and there, and you make them go back so that you're clear on everything. And that's for anybody. That's even for people that's just doing hospital stays too. You want to be clear and understand what's about to happen to you if you're the patient, or your loved one if your loved one is the patient. So those are my words of advice. Find out your liaison, get their name, telephone number, and email address. Establish a relationship from the beginning. Hi, I am Tom Jones' niece. I'm the one who facilitated a lot of his care or her care when they were at home. And I would like to make sure that I'm on any kind of healthcare proxy, any kind of paperwork, so that I can call and get information on days in which me or my family members are unable to attend. Right? You want to establish that first. You want to talk if your patient is verbal, and or if they're not, you want to communicate with them. How are they feeling about the facility? Do they like it there? If they do, what do they like? If they don't, what don't they like? And if there are things that are concerns that are happening more than 2 or 3 times, you might want to write them down. You might want to get some dates and times from the patient, and you want to let your social worker or your nurse and staff or whatever the problem is, you might want to let them know what's going on. I myself like to email, so I would let staff members know by email things that I'm concerned with, questions that I have, so that I have that written back and forth between me and someone. So when things drop and don't go as expected, I have my written emails to refer back to. So I'm going to always tell you to try to get email addresses and try to email. And don't always go to escalate to the highest level first. Try to start with the bottom and work your way up, because what you don't want to do is create enemies inside a facility that you're not staying all night, that you don't live in, but your family, or even if it's not even a family member, your close friend is living there, because they have ways of making sure that people can be punished. It may be no physical visible things, but it might be other stuff, like when they push the call bell and you're not there, and the staff don't show up, or they show up 2 hours later, or just little things. So don't always get so upset that you start at the top and work your way down. Try to go in a hierarchy of chains of command, and try to be respectful when you're sending over your emails, and make sure you have the facts together that you are filing a complaint about, because you don't want to look like a fool, something that happened 2 months ago and you just bring it up now. Try to stay current, try to always check in with your patient and family member or friend, and find out what's going on. Is there anything that can be done to make your stay better? Is there anything you can do? Can you bring in some outside of, if they're a reader, maybe you could bring them some books. If they like to knit crochet, maybe you could bring their crochet kits, or whatever hobby that they can still do safely in the facility. Try to find out how you can be helpful. Sometimes they may have nothing that they do, but just seeing a family or close friend regularly is enough. Just knowing that someone is caring, just knowing that someone is checking in. Those things are very important when you have loved ones in any type of facility. What else? Sometimes when you have people in facilities, be prepared for the unexpected, because sometimes things just happen. They are short staffed sometimes, and your loved one may get their food later, or they may get their food too early. The food may be cold by the time they get to it. The food may not be their choices, because they don't really get an elaborate menu like you do when you're in a hospital and you get to pick out what you want for the day. When you're in a rehab facility, you kind of get what they serve you. But if you get something that you totally hate, like food that you wouldn't eat on your worst day, you can let the staff know. It's like, no, I do not even eat this at all, ever. And they can be able to switch your meal for you. And they always have extra. Don't let them fool you. They may be lazy and not want to plate it up, but there's always other options for you, even if you have to just get a sandwich. Know your loved one conditions and understand, because a lot of times people say the food is gross, the food is nasty in these facilities, and the first thing we want to do is we want to bring them food, but know their dietary restrictions. Don't be getting them food that they should not be eating. Check with the dietitian or check with their nursing staff that have access to their records so that they can tell you some things they can have and they can't have, because you don't want anyone to be getting sick on your account because a couple times a week you bringing them in McDonald's or Burger King, and they already have high cholesterol, they already have high blood sugars. You know, you want to know what you can do safely for the patient who's living in a rehab facility. So a couple things that I'm learning now for rehab facilities is that I always kind of knew that nursing homes or rehab facilities didn't give hot water baths every day. I kind of knew that because just short staff, and it's kind of almost impossible when you have so many residents that you have to take care of. But I didn't know it could, in some instances, be once a week. That's a little tricky. Once a week, you know. Um, but yeah, you know, if that's the case with your loved one, when you go there and you know what days of the week they are getting a hot shower bath, you know, maybe the other days that you visit and they're not, you can ask them, would you still like to be sponged off really nicely? You know, would you still, the wipes are cute, but the wipes are cool, you know, depending on how your room is. If your room is kind of cool. Right now it's the winter, the heat is on, but unless you have those wipes in a warmer, and they do have wipe warmers because they have them for baby wipes, then you're going to be applying a kind of cold rag, wiping somebody up. And to me, that's kind of uncomfortable. But you might want to ask the person, do they want a sponge? And you can get, they willingly give you a basin with, you know, you can bring in your own soap and lotion and stuff like that. And you might be able to just sponge your loved one down, because sometimes when you're stuck in the bed and you're not feeling good, even you yourself who might be at home with like a cold or flu, the best feeling you get is when you wash yourself up. When you drag yourself out of that bed, no matter how much nose blowing and coughing and sneezing you're doing, and you get in that warm shower with that nice sudsy shower gel or soap, it it changes your mindset. And you know, you wash your hair. For us, you know, you wash your hair, you condition it, and you grease it. You know, your scalp feels good, and you just feel good all over. So you might want to suggest trying to help clean them up on days that they don't regularly get the warm or hot soapy water. Those are some things. Now the harshness that I'm talking about comes because sometimes you have a loved one and maybe you're not privy to personal information about them, like maybe even exactly why they are there. But get with your team, your support, your other family and friends, and find out why they are there, how long they're going to be there, if the patient is unable to tell you themselves, right? How long they're going to be there. Make sure your information is as accurate as you can get. So what I'm saying is, don't make up stuff. Don't go by your gut, what you feel. You know, I feel that they this or that. No, 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 no. When you're going to be spreading information to other friends and family about a person, have your facts correct. Talk to your patient advocate, your social worker, or your RN who's in charge of the floor, you know, or the nurse, it might be even an LPN who's in charge. Get your facts straight before you go spreading information about patients that's not true. Don't go with your gut. Don't make things up. Be as accurate as you can, because you're talking about somebody's life, somebody's health, and you want to be as relevant and as truthful as you can, because you get other people worried when you're given fractions of information and your information is not correct, accurate, or good information, and period. I myself choose to go right to the medical professionals. I'm privy on the family member that I'm talking about, that I can cut through all the bull. I don't have to listen to this person saying this person. I go right to the person who has the chart and can answer questions intelligently and can give me good information to pass on to my other family members, or yeah, mostly family members who are not privy to such information. Keep a notebook. You know, I have a journal notebook that I have in my purse all the time that I carry with me. And as I ask questions and things I don't understand, I ask questions and write them down, and I get an understanding of what's going on, because being in a rehab or nursing facility can be overwhelming to the patient. And the patient may have questions that they don't ask the medical staff just because they're tired or they're sleeping most of the time or they're just not with it enough. And you can answer questions for them also. You don't want to stress them out with things that are not true or things you're not sure about. Make sure you're sure and you understand before you pass on information. That's my harshness, because one thing I do not like a liar, which is a person who's just going by their feelings. You're lying because you're not telling me the truth and you're making shit up. Don't, please. No room, no tolerance. Sick of it. Been hearing lies for a couple of years and ready for some truth from medical professionals only. Medical professionals only, not you, because you have been making up stuff for a long time, what you feel in your heart, what you read. Now, let me tell you something. I am a fan of Google. I love the internet. I love Chat GPT, and I really do think that is a good place to start getting information on any illness that you may be dealing with or your family may be dealing with. I agree. But when you have somebody who's going through a very delicate medical condition, you can start there and get information there, but bring information that you gather online to the medical staff just to make sure that this information is correct. Like, okay, this person has diabetes. Is it true that people with diabetes can't do this or can do this? Okay, bring it to the medical professionals. Don't just rely 100% on Chat GPT, WebMD, you know, bring it to the medical professionals, get the correct answers from a medical professional who has went to school, knowledgeable of the subject, and taken the bar, not a bar, but a board exam, passed it in some medical capacity before you go spreading information. So I have a big problem with that. And not exactly that the person is lying. In my case, I'm saying the person's lying, but sometimes the person's just giving misinformation, just misinformed, and then they're misinforming you, which is not fair. It's not fair to anybody, especially not the patient, because you're giving bad information. So if you have parents and you're in your 50s or 60s yourself, and some may be in their 40s who have parents that are in their 70s, 80s, keep an eye on your parents if they're still around and you have a relationship with them, because that's, when they get about 78, 79 is when things start to happen. And I'm not talking strictly about dementia, Alzheimer's. I'm just talking about any medical issues, because sometimes your parents like to hide stuff. They don't like to tell you the truth. They don't like to tell you everything that's going on because they're afraid that you might put them in a nursing facility, right? A lot of old school parents are really afraid of that. They're shaking in their boots. But it's not for that. It's just that so we can be aware when you're having symptoms of this and that. So when we go to the doctor's appointments and you don't bring it up, we can bring it up, because we want to do a full circle and make sure that you are taken care of well. And we can't do that when we only have bits and pieces. Be honest with your family, be honest with your children, let them know what's going on. A lot of times people are remarried, so you may have a parent who remarried, and maybe your relationship is not the best with the new person that they married, just for whatever reason. You just don't like them, never liked them. That happens too, and I think that is more common than not. But that's okay. Still try to have that relationship with the medical team and the medical staff wherever your loved one is being placed. Sometimes people are in marriages for just different reasons. Sometimes it may start out for love, and then it may turn into lust, or it might start with lust and turn into love, and then sometimes it's end game. Like, um, where am I going to be 20, 30 years with this person financially? Watch out for that, especially if your parent or your uncle or your aunt, whoever it may be, has worked all of their life and they have a pretty good retirement, a pretty good some investments, a little savings, then they meet somebody who don't have as much as them, right? And then now they're a couple, now they're married, and they start acting differently when they find out that the person is sick. I've known of a couple who one of the two of them had a stroke, and then the other one just was like, I can't, they got out of there real fast, and called the children and said, I can't do this anymore. So kind of keep your eye on your family who are getting married, like the second and the third time, because when it comes to their health and it starts deteriorating, you may see a difference in the spouses. So just all I'm saying is keep your eyes open, keep your ears to the ground. I've always kept my ears to the ground. I always keep my eyes open. I'm watching, I'm listening to everything. I don't think that everybody is a bad couple because there are some couples that are so good for each other on their second or third marriage. It's like they got it right now. It's like the first marriage was like a test, a little trial just to see what marriage is like. Then you might have some time in the middle where you're just dating other people and trying to figure out some things. Then you decide to get married again and you say, this is the one. Watch that person too. And sometimes it's good. Marriage will last. They both pass on. They had a good life and stuff. And then sometimes it goes sour. It might start off good, but it goes sour when one of the two people becomes a caregiver. Because caregiving is not an easy feat. It's not something that is easy to do day in and day out by yourself. It's not. I get that. So I'm just saying, watch the people. Watch your family members. Be honest with your children. Be honest with your nieces and nephews. When you're having pain, you're not feeling good, you're dizzy, you're falling a lot, let people know so that they can try to get you a good diagnosis so we can try to make you feel better because everybody wants to live long and you want to feel as good as you can. Not everybody's going to live long and be 100% what they were in their teens or 20s, right? We know that's not happening, especially if you live to your 80s or your 90s. You're going to get some pain. You're going to get some um, numbness, maybe. You're going to get some times where you can't stretch the same as you used to, and that's fine because it's part of the body aging. Your body is going to age. It's going to happen to all of us that keep living. It is. So you're going to notice different sounds, maybe in your knees or your ankles. Oh, that's funny. When I was in the military, my ankles did pop when I was going through boot camp. I was only 18. I don't know what that was about, but I don't I don't have that now. But yeah, just watch, listen, learn, especially when a new person or parent or aunt or uncle is being introduced in your family later in your life and later in someone else's life. Just always think, what is their ulterior motive? Do this person really love my uncle? Do this person really love my aunt? Or are they looking at long term, like when the person is deceased, what they're gonna get? Because sometimes when they get married later in life, it's more of a, what am I gonna get out of this if this person croaks? Just saying, that's my opinion. God is in control. No matter what we do, God is going to handle it. He's going to handle the person who's doing wrong, who's treating people like dirt, talking to people like dirt. God got you. God got you. Don't be discouraged to speak your truth. Say what's on your mind like we used to. Stop this sugarcoating everything. Oh, don't say that. You can't say that. No, say what you mean. If a person can't take it, it's their problem, not yours. I'm not saying to be disrespectful as far as swearing. Don't call people out of their name. I'm not saying that. Definitely don't hit people. Well, I mean, if they hit you first, you might. But yeah, I'm just saying, be honest. Stop faking the funk, acting like you like people that you don't. I'd rather you just say, you know what, something about you I don't like. We can't really see eye to eye. And I think it's best if me and you stop communicating. Be honest with me, because I got tough skin. I'm born and raised up in the 60s and the 70s. I can handle, I've heard everything, so I'm good. All right, I think that's enough. I try to make these videos like 25 minutes or less. I hope that you've learned something. Please, 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 at the end of this video, leave comments, like the video, share the video because I'm not the only one. You're not the only one. You're not the only one, and you're not the only one. It's people going through right now what I'm talking about. People are sitting watching this video and going with and talk and going through what I'm going through. Don't be afraid. Comment, 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 and like the video, please. Subscribe if you feel you want to hear more of my rhetoric. You can go ahead and hit that subscribe. But I have 12 seconds and hope you have a blessed, blessed week. Thank you for listening. Sugar.413.